Windy City Peach here. My name is Drea Harvey, and of course you know I love to cook, and more than loving to cook, I love to teach you how to cook. So today we're going to make some homemade bread. I've made yeast rolls before, but I've never made a loaf of bread, and that's what we're gonna make. Now that everybody is home and you're home with your children and it's so many people to feed, you need something healthy and hearty for them, or maybe not healthy, hearty for sure. So stay tuned. I'm going to be cooking some bread, and it'll be the first time that I'm ever doing it, so we're gonna learn together. All right, let's go.
All right guys, first let's chat about the ingredients. We have 6 cups of flour, some yeast. I like to use Red Star yeast, but I'm sure any yeast will do. 1.5 teaspoons of salt. Then we also have olive oil and sugar. I forgot to zoom in on those, sorry about that. Next, you're going to have 2 cups of water. The 2 cups of water should be warm, so between 115 and 120 degrees. If you do not have a thermometer, just make sure it's warm and not hot to the touch. You're going to, of course, add the yeast to the warm water and allow it to activate. Once you've added the sugar to the yeast and let it sit for about 5 minutes, you're going to add the oil and salt to the mixer and start to add the flour. Add 1 cup of flour at a time, and after you've added about 2 cups, you want to add the yeast and the sugar mixture. You're going to notice that your mixer will start to get heavier and heavier as more and more flour is added, but you want to ensure that the flour is incorporated with all of the liquid in the bowl. You may need to help it out a little bit, so feel free to take a spatula and add in the flour, the excess flour that's not catching in the bowl. Now that all of the flour is incorporated, you are going to knead the dough. So create a shallow flour disc on your counter or on a pastry board and roll out the ball of dough onto the surface and continue to knead it. What I like to do is fold it over several times. That allows it to not only be kneaded, but you want to ensure that all of the sides of the dough have some flour on them, so none of the dough should be sticky to the touch. It should feel floury. I think that's a term I've used on another video. But continue to knead it and add it, but you don't want to overdo it. It's just a very delicate process, and you're going to create a ball. You're going to put it in a ball, and then you're going to place it in a well-oiled bowl. Ensure that all of the sides are covered by the oil and let it sit for an hour. After an hour, the big reveal: the dough will have tripled in size underneath the damp towel, and now it will be time to prepare it and place it into the bread bowls. So you're going to spray them down liberally with some kind of baking spray. Make sure you spray extremely liberally and set them aside. Next, you're going to punch down the dough, which is going to allow it to release and start to flatten. You're going to roll it out into the shallow flour mix that you have, and then you're going to cut them in half. You cannot possibly put that full amount of dough into a regular bread pan. It will be way too much dough for one. So these are 2 loaves of bread that you're making. So you're going to split it in half. It doesn't have to be perfectly symmetrical, but you definitely want to split them in half, and then you're going to prepare the dough. So you're going to flatten it out. You're going to use a rolling pin. I think everybody knows how to do that from making biscuits or things like that, or pie crust. And you're going to flatten it out to the point where it has somewhat of a decent oval shape, should we say, and then you're going to roll it up and then pin the ends, and then you're going to place that into the bread basket, and then you're going to do it again for the other piece of dough. To cover the bread and allow it to rise for 25 minutes. Once that's up, you're going to uncover and place in the oven for 30 minutes. And now look at our beautiful, beautiful bread. You may have to dust off some of the excess flour, and I use the same brush that I use for my glaze that I put on there, and then I melted some butter and put it over the tops of the bread. That's an optional process, but of course you want some pretty looking loaves of bread. And as you can see, as I began to add the glazed butter, it just looks so beautiful. And these are the 2 loaves of bread completely finished and done, and my house smelled amazing. This is just wonderful, and I was so excited that I was able to take this journey with you into making 2 loaves of bread. And look at this, it was my first time, guys, my very first time. Of course, with any baked goods, you're going to want to let them sit and cool for some time, but eventually it will be time to slice the bread. So of course I sliced it up because I had to let you guys know what they look like, and it was a beautiful piece of bread that I ate with my sandwiches, and it was just perfect. I loved it, done all the way throughout. Homemade bread, y'all. We made it. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Of course, in this season, I will definitely be adding many recipes that you and your family can love and enjoy. See you next time.